meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Belsley?
Here.
Bluenair?
Here.
Dobb?
Here.
Hare?
Here.
Herman?
Here.
Kaufman?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a public hearing today. The Board of Directors and I are interested in exchanging some property with Sam Parrott. Morton regulations require a public hearing when a transaction like that is going to take place, and therefore we are interested in hearing any pros and cons from anyone who would like to speak. Just to give me an idea of how many speakers there are, could I see a show of hands of those who want to speak in favor of this project? Write that down. Could I see a show of hands of anyone who'd like to speak in opposition?
I don't know enough to take sides yet.
All right, hold that thought. Let me call on Craig Loudermilk, who's going to give us a little bit of a rundown here on the exchange.
Yeah, the public hearing tonight is for the real estate exchange between Sam Parrott and the Village of Morton. I brought an exhibit over there, and then also I've got some plans here on the proposed parking lot. But it illustrates, the exhibit over there is three shades. The top left corner, that's the Jefferson place. The middle gray is the Village of Morton, what we'll have after the exchange. And then the other gray on both sides, that's what Sam will have. Now, some of that's existing property. That's just after the exchange happens, if it's approved. It also illustrates in the background the proposed parking lot. So if you walk up to it and you can see the proposed parking lot in the background. I wanted to add that we've been planning the reconstruction or rehabilitation of the existing parking lot there, which encompasses a large part of the proposed area for several years. And this is located between Adams and Jefferson and just east of Plum Street. But since the trophy shop was demolished, if you've been up there, that area still has not been paved. So since that time, we've been discussing redoing the parking lot, whether that's an overlay or reconstructing it, but it's been talked about for several years. The new or proposed parking would be more functional with two-way parking, or two-way traffic, wider aisles, and will benefit all the businesses. The new parking lot will have 61 parking spaces as compared to the existing out there today, which is 54 existing parking spaces. I wanted to add that the parking lot was originally presented to the Business District Commission by myself on February 17th. As we're planning to use business district funds for this work. The funds were then included in the FY17 budget as approved by the board, and the first budget meeting was on March 7th. A week later, on March 15th, we met with Mr. Sam Parrott, myself, the mayor, Julie Smick, Roger Spangler, to discuss his plans for the northeast quadrant, so the lower left corner of that drawing there, of some of the plans that he had for that area. At the same time, we wanted to coordinate our parking lot prior to this exchange so that we could coordinate with not only his project, but also coordinate with the work that the Jefferson's doing so that the grades, the layout, and all that match so everything worked together. There's a lot of stuff in that block, and we want to make sure everything worked. At this meeting, I proposed a swap of property with Sam in front of everyone, as I felt after listening to some of Sam's plans that a proposed swap would not only benefit Sam, but would also benefit the Jefferson and the Village of Morton also, and I'll get to that. For Sam Parrott, he would get some additional property outside Seasons, the new restaurant there that he owns, to allow for outdoor dining and events. For the village, we would gain additional property for more parking, and we will be able to line up the access from this parking lot with the parking lot that we built last year. So as you travel through this, you will see across the street the parking and the drives would match up. And then lastly, for the Jefferson, they would gain access. There will be an agreement later on here as a part of this too, where the Jefferson would gain access to their dumpsters, loading and unloading, and additional parking would be attained from the Jefferson on their site as a result of this exchange. With this exchange, the village will receive 0.25 acres of property from Sam Parrott, and Sam Parrott will receive 0.14 acres of property from the village. No money will be included in this property exchange, so we're receiving 0.11 acres more property for this additional parking space. At this point, that's all I have. That's just a general description of the project. I'd be glad afterwards to answer any questions or during the public hearing.
Mr. Bryan?
Would you mind stepping up here?
Yep.
Like you told me, I'm a slow learner.
Sure. So as I mentioned, this here is the Jefferson, which is being built. This is the 3-story mixed use right here. And this is their proposed parking lot that they are in the process of building right now, if you go out there.
So they're building their own parking lot?
They're building their own parking lot. Originally, there was possibly going to be access. We've since closed off that access if this goes through because we had a concern that this will be private for the Jefferson. So having one access would allow them to control their parking for residents here. Hang on one second. And then the village existing property goes to here, and then also on this side. So we own all this right now, plus this little piece here. So we're actually trading this square. Sam's giving us this, and we're giving Sam this piece here, if that makes sense. So here's Seasons Gastro above here. And this would be, Sam would be able to use this for whatever his plans are at this point, but I assume some sort of outdoor dining, you know, event type area. And then our parking would be two-way now. Right now it's one way, it's not functional. In my opinion, it's not safe. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. Now it would be two-way all the way through, all the way down. And also over here would be two-way traffic. But we will gain this additional space over here. In agreement, though, with the Jefferson, to kind of clean up things, is their dumpster would be accessed from here. There's an agreement later in the meeting where the Jefferson, Sam Parrott, and the village will be involved in an agreement where Sam would build this dumpster and they would both keep, their dumpsters in this enclosed area. This area would be a loading area to be used by all the businesses. Right now, there's a concern on the surrounding streets with delivery trucks blocking traffic, and we prefer to give a dedicated space here to hopefully clean up on Jefferson and add some deliveries with the commercial activities that would be going on. Now, that would be available to these businesses also. And then this property is Sam's existing parking lot. As a part of the agreement, he would disconnect this from our parking, and then he would make the setbacks conform to our ordinance. So he would saw cut and remove some of that pavement to make sure it conforms. And then also, as a part of the 0.25 number that he's giving us, he will be dedicating this right away here for a future sidewalk that could be put in to connect this up. But that's not in the plans right now. There's a lot of utilities there.
How many parking spots are allotted to each unit in the residential?
Oh, in the residential, the ordinance is 1 per unit, and there's 18 units, so.
There's 18 units.
So they had to have at least 18. I don't remember the exact number, it's like 22, 23, I can count it out here real quick. But prior to this, they were gonna have to have loading, unloading in the lot, so they only had 18. By doing this property exchange, they were allotted some additional spaces. I think it was 4 or 5 by doing this. So hopefully the additional will help keep that from spilling over. Our parking lot is a 24-hour parking. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but all of our parking is 24-hour. So currently.
That's
Is
correct.
the street 24 hours as well?
Yes.
Yes.
So if somebody had 2 cars, then they would just move from the street
they know we will manage. If they park there right now, the current ordinance, if they park here for more than 24 hours, I know we're not gonna actively pay people to wash, but, you know, complaint driven, or if we see something, their tires will be marked, and we'll get with the police, and they'll, you know, get a ticket or eventually be towed. Similar to a private parking, same thing they would do. If they have a car here that's too long, we won't, and Craig, you could speak to that. If there's a car in here and we get a complaint there, they will have to have those cars towed from their parking. Correct?
It's private part. We can tag it by state statute and we can tow it, but it takes 7 days before we can actually hook it up, or the business can tow it. They can also put a signage up to where the individual being towed would have to pay for the vehicle, but it's got to list the location to where it's being towed.
I think what you're hitting on, Susie, is, you know, remember the downtown district, there's no requirement for parking for commercial. There is for residential with that new agreement. So with all the new businesses going in, there's a concern, I think, amongst you, amongst us, all of us, that we have enough parking. And to me, that's the fundamental reason why we build 100 spaces down here. We're building more here to hopefully provide that public parking. We know it's not going to be, you know, potentially perfect. Some people are going to have to walk a block to get there. If we get businesses in here that create traffic, some of those things.
One of the other concerns that I see there is that if Sam has parking in the back, and this is all public parking in the medium grade, okay, what is going to move the people who are going into Seasons to park in the back rather than in the medium grade, because it is public city parking?
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, obviously that's going to happen. I don't know, you know, we're going to tell Seasons people to park here. And you and I have discussed this before. I mean, all these businesses benefit from the same thing, that public parking's for everybody, you know. Meaning the spaces are free to the public to go to whatever business they want to go to.
Well, I mean, after 4 or 5 o'clock, that's not a problem. But during, from about 10 o'clock to about 2 o'clock, the public area in back of our businesses is packed.
Sure.
And we don't have parking for our customers, so they're going, you know, to the, you know, between Seasons and that back part. So, you know, that's already quite a distance from some of those businesses, particularly our business.
Yeah, and my response to that is, I mean, I'm a proponent of this parking lot. I was a proponent of the previous one, to provide public parking to hopefully accommodate the businesses. I mean, I think, and Leanne, you could speak to this, I understand your concern, but I think it's a good problem to have, and we hope it works itself out to where people are willing to, you know, to walk and use these businesses.
Aren't you gaining, Craig, aren't we gaining 4 more spots than it currently is now? And the one,
Actually, what's out there now, we're getting more than that. I can't remember what I just said.
8, I think it's 7.
Yeah.
50.
so part of it, you're actually gaining 8 more spots in front of, just by, you know, as this would go through. So part of it, you are gaining 8 more spots with that.
Plus the Jefferson's gain 4 or 5.
Right.
So if it's
Yes.
a total gain of at least 12 seats, 12 parking spots.
Again, though, but during certain times of the day, when Seasons is really busy, it's a lot easier to park in back of the businesses
Sure.
that are up there
You're still
for
getting more.
people to go through that area, go into Seasons, than it is to, when that first parking lot right there by Seasons is filled, than to go in the back, because it's public parking.
And I think your concern is more, it's not even the parking lot, what we're discussing right now, it's really the whole thing, it's the Jefferson, right?
Sure, well, it's all
It's the
part of
5
it.
businesses
It's
there.
all part of it.
Because our parking lot that we're discussing now is really an existing parking lots there that's now, today, that's still a concern also.
Well, everybody's gonna park in the most convenient
Sure.
spot. I mean, people will drive around a Walmart parking lot for 5-10 minutes to get a spot close to the door.
Without a-
So they're gonna park in the most convenient spot. They're not going to park away.
fit
I
in
don't want
there? What is
anything,
the
'cause I'm always
existing
as far
parking?
away as I can get.
What-
Somebody always finds me, but.
This is after, I don't have the existing on there, but basically, here's the outline. If you were to go out there today, here's the line on the west side that's ours, and then here's the line on the east side. You can kind of see this, I didn't change it on Sam because we didn't know what his plan was, but this is the existing concrete parking lot that's out there today. So they go through here, pretty much the same footprint. The old trophy shop, if you remember, it sits right out here. It's still just dirt from where it was demolished.
So you're needing 7 parking spaces for $367,000?
Yes, yes. But I will say the existing parking lot out there today is, I would consider it needing some serious repairs. You know, yeah, we could look at, removing it or overlaying it. I will say that $365 is, you know, that's a price that's, you know, you're gonna have a parking lot there, it's gonna be concrete, that's gonna be there hopefully in, you know, 30 to 50 years. I mean, the parking lot that we just built. So I think that's an investment. I think we could go in and repair it for a little bit cheaper, but you're still talking $100,000+ just to do a Band-Aid overlay fix to the parking lots that's out there.
You mentioned you want the delivery trucks to use that area. So they're gonna park in the aisle, not in the slots, right?
Well, we've given space here, pretty much, you know, 20 by 50 feet, that hopefully, that's the intent. We'll work with, you know, Mr. Parrott, he's got the deliveries, Steve Lehman with the Jefferson. I mean, we'll have to work with the business owners so that they don't, you know, block that.
What about the alley in back of, like, the businesses there? Is that gonna be the
That's
same?
gonna stay the same. So pretty much your parking here is the same as it is today.
We don't have parking on there.
No, this parking. No, this would go right up to your business here. We still have the aisle.
See, that's a real problem for us, because we have people dropping off donations daily.
And you could still, I mean, this is gonna be two-way here. This is gonna be one way the same as it is today.
Oh, that's gonna be
Yeah.
the same.
And I think, I mean, we don't have the room to do much different. I mean, we could take this parking out to help, but then it's taking out 5 parking spaces that are,
Those
Landon,
diagonal.
those are parking?
Yes.
And so you're adding, okay.
that's pretty much what you see out there today is gonna be the same here.
The diagonal parking.
Yes, so this will be one way coming out this, but this will be two-way here, all the way through.
So you're adding diagonal parking behind the businesses, and there's still going to be a sufficient alley, like for
Yes.
the,
This is the existing drive here, so it's the same as it is today. In this section here, between there and your business.
so a weak hair shuttle could get through there. Looks very narrow.
It- I think it's gonna be fine.
Well, all the traffic today, they go one way in. So a semi, granted, we're talking delivery trucks, but this is 24 foot wide. So this is bigger than anything you see out there. So a large truck will be able to actually go through here and out this.
Yeah.
So you'll have that also.
I'm talking about the alleyway and people pulling in and out while other people are dropping off. And that is where we take in our things. And
Sure.
there are people there several times every day.
And this, like I said, this is the same as what's out there today. Yeah, I mean, this distance here is, I mean, it's almost 24 feet. Which 24 feet is what you would see at Walmart. It's clean, it's a road for traffic going 2 ways. So this is a very large distance that would accommodate We Care. It would actually allow somebody to come out and park there. But no, there will be no dedicated marks, loading, unloading, stuff like that in that spot. Now, you will still have this available if you want to do it there also.
Move there.
2 questions. Do you envision UPS, FedEx being required to use that as opposed to blocking Adams?
We prefer not to have anyone block the streets. Obviously, UPS, FedEx, I mean, I'll rely on Craig, he's the enforcer on those
But
things.
you have the
His
ability to
department.
enforce that.
We allow people that are making deliveries on some of those areas to stop and make their delivery.
I think the intent of this was for sure for the Jefferson, Sam, and these businesses, if they needed a spot that wouldn't block the street, block the parking lot, there would be a space for them to do
You're talking about the trailers, right?
that. I'm not talking about 65-foot trailers necessarily, but like, a food delivery truck, a beer delivery truck, those type of, 40,
If it's
45
too big,
foot.
he's not gonna be able to go right or left on that and throw it there.
Yeah, no, exactly, yes. So those are the things we work with, Mr. Parrott, Mr. Lehman, that, you're not gonna be able to have deliveries that are 65-foot trailers. You're not gonna be able to get through, you know what I mean? And those are things we do deal with from time to time with people, If Sam starts bringing in 72-foot trailers, we're gonna go, Sam, this doesn't work.
53 foot's not gonna work either.
Yes. But the typical food delivery, those types of trucks, they will fit in there.
How can we get more parking spaces when you're taking away from some of the parking lot now? You say you're adding more parking spaces, where are you adding it when we're taking away part of the parking lot?
If you look at this whole area, when I gave the numbers, there's currently 54 out there.
Correct.
I think that's what I said. Today, and when we're done, there'll be 62,
61.
61.
Without-
Because we're basically getting this piece here from Parrott, and we're optimizing the parking lot too. I mean, like I said, if you drive through there, it's not a functional parking lot. If not one of the worst ones that I've been in. Just, it's hard to navigate through. I mean, there's sections where you pull in and you're gonna be head-on with the other traffic. You got one way going in conflicting movements. So you gain some by just optimizing the parking.
But in a way, you're spending public money to benefit the parent organization and the Jeffersonian.
That, we're getting, I think it's a great idea to be able to ask Craig questions. But when you start making statements pro and con, then I'd really prefer you went up and introduced yourself so we can get them in the record, because I'm not hearing a lot of what's going on.
I'm sorry.
But if you have any more questions of Craig, please ask him. But if you are ready to draw some conclusions or make some suggestions for an action that we should take, please go to the podium or raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can go to the podium and then we can make a record of your comment.
And if you got further questions after, I'd be glad to say after. I do have some plans of the parking lot and the Jefferson's plans over there too. If you would like to actually see the plans and the actual drawings, I'd be glad to discuss those with anyone.
I know that we discussed this before, and I don't remember the answer. What is the process of designating parking spaces to particular, I know that that's a public parking lot, I'm talking about the one directly behind Homestead, Bankley's, Upscale Resale, Square Dance, Du Jour, the actual retail businesses. What is the process of designating that parking lot for certain hours to those merchants?
And we discussed that before, and I think my question was more, you're getting into a more in-depth question here that really is something to present to the board. It's changing ordinance, it's those sort of things. So I think that would be something that we would want to present to them. Because that would change not only the way we look at things here, but all of our public parking. Now we're starting to, I think what Bob said, now we're starting to actually dedicate for certain businesses, where the intent of this is really just for the public. But that would be something I think to ask the board is how I would recommend that.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Having heard all that information, I will ask again, is there anyone who would like to get up, introduce themselves, and make a statement in favor or in opposition to this arrangement? Thank you, folks. We're also pleased to have a presentation tonight. I'm proud to introduce Leanne Brown. She is the new director of the EDC and the Chamber of Commerce, so we're really delighted to have her here in Morton.
Thank you. I'll assume that's on. Good to be here, and I've met several of you, but look forward to getting to know the others and meeting with you. So Thank you for allowing me to share some additional information tonight, specifically regarding our Pumpkin Festival, which this year, a great year to start on, celebrating 50 years of the Pumpkin Festival. So we have a lot of new things, and I'm excited to help host my first festival. Been to it several times, but really learn the ins and outs of it. And I think you received in your packet information on a request from us. We did submit through the normal grant process. I know that there's been some change in direction on wanting to channel the grant dollars to self-sustaining events. I've been here less than 2 months, so I'm not sure how that communication came out, if it was well documented in the grant application, but wanted to share some specifics regarding the 50th year and some new events that not only fit that new mission, but also just to really make sure that you're aware of what it takes to host the festival, and truly how many people are involved in the festival, and the reinvestment that goes back into the community from the dollars that are profited from the festival and the dollars that a lot of other organizations benefit from hosting events and activities at the festival. Now, our festival, you could say it is self-sustaining, but it truly depends on the sponsorship that we go out and raise, how many businesses are involved, how many volunteers are able to help us, and a lot of support from the community. So while we're very thankful of that, it does take a lot of time, effort, and relationship building to make sure that those businesses and community members return to host the festival. So I wanted to share some details tonight to give the village an opportunity to join in with those other businesses, well over 100 businesses, 2,000 volunteers that spend a lot of time, money, and resources in hosting the festival, and bring the village in as a supporter as well. In our festival guide, even just last year, as you can see, the numerous festival chairs alone that help us coordinate the specific activities and events. And it was great to put the village and the tourism as a direct support right there on that page in our festival guide that goes out. So looking at the requests that I shared with you, again, it is the Golden Pumpkin Festival because we are celebrating 50 years. And we have several new activities. First one listed there being the fireworks. We looked to host that on Friday night. We've met with the fire chief. He's met with the company that will be setting off the fireworks. All has been cleared there, and we're going to determine the right safe location and get that approved is our next step. The total cost of that is $6,000 to host the fireworks. The next one there is our zip line. Been a popular new activity that's been put up all over the world for people to enjoy different sceneries and activities. So we're excited to bring the zip line here, climb up 35 feet, and you can race somebody else down the zip line. So it should be fun for families and kids to enjoy that. We will be charging $5 to participate in the zip line, and all of those dollars will directly go to Project Pumpkin. And Project Pumpkin, those dollars are reinvested to allow families that maybe can't afford to attend the festival. They receive basically a $100 or so value package for them to attend and enjoy the Pumpkin Festival. And we receive all those names through the school district. And then lastly there, the bike tour. which will be hosted even the weekend before festival. It is a 50-mile bike tour ride, and we plan on continuing this event annually. We anticipate at least 100 participants this first year. We're working with the local area bike group, Illinois Valley, to host that, and looking forward to bringing in that dynamics and those participants to enjoy and get them used to riding through Morton. The ride will head them over to the Bloomington area and then back to Morton. There'll be opportunities for them to park probably right downtown, and when they return to be able to enjoy Morton and the downtown district after their 50-mile ride. Other numbers here that I wanted to share with you. Our average festival cost is $362,000 annually. That number came from our average over the last 3 years. We generally net. Obviously, this depends on the weather. We've been fortunate in the last 3 years to have pretty good weather, which has been that positive net of $185 to $195. And just wanted to share on how some of those dollars are directly reinvested in the community. We support a community project each year. The last, as noted there, 4 years, we've been able to do $25,000 each year back to a project. This year, our board just voted to complete the flower pot project and also help support the library and their need for a new book drop box. So a lot of great use that the community uses on that drop box, and then finish out a project that we started and is doing well. 13 more pots are on the way, and we have about 28 more to go. The community youth groups that volunteer that really help the festival go. With their hours, we donate back about $20,000 annually to those various community groups. Our community volunteers, and just hosting the volunteers, making sure they're well taken care of. All the shirts that we order for the festival chairs, and different appreciation activities, items that we share with them before, during, and after the festival. We generally $8,000 to $10,000 annually costs back to them. As you can see there, we have easily 2,000 volunteers, so you have a lot of community members that volunteer. You have a lot of businesses that encourage their employees, and you have a lot of regional people that come over and help us host the festival. Businesses involved, 100 to 125 businesses that are directly involved with the festival, donating their time and resources. A few other things to note, that the money is directly going to support the fireworks, the zip line, and the bike tour. But just some other direct numbers to help showcase how many people attend the festival. For the Classic, which is the run, we had 26 states represented. We had 1,600 total participants. 360 to 400 of those were beyond a 25-mile radius of Morton. I even ran in 2014. My family and friends, we went to Leaves and Beans afterwards and enjoyed coffee and some pastries there. So I know firsthand that those participants do visit other restaurants and locations. The crafters, anywhere from 35 to 38% are out of state, traveling more than 50 plus miles. Last year we had crafters from New York, Ohio, Tennessee, Missouri, Iowa. So just wanted to kind of paint that picture of how many other attendees, where they're coming from to enjoy and share in the festival, and how many other organizations do reap direct benefit either by volunteering at the festival or whatever event or activity that they're hosting generates funds for their organization. So I look forward to the opportunity of the village still supporting, especially being our 50th year. It's a big year. One you should be proud of, two to honor and celebrate. There's a lot to offer here in Morton, and I can say that from a new perspective coming in and seeing all the pride that your community has, and you should be proud of that. And look forward to having you guys join in and support, especially the other businesses and the community members that see the value in the festival, for them to know that the village is involved and behind the festival. I'm sure that speaks volumes.
Thanks, Leanne.
Yeah.
The board will act on your request a little later in the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Our consent agenda today includes approval of bills, approval of the minutes from the June 20th meeting. Would anyone in the audience or on the board like to pull anything from the consent agenda? There being none, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Sam.
Your Honor, you skipped the public comments.
No, that's next. Oh, no, I did, you're right. Let me take the vote and I'll get back to you, Bob.
Belsley,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Would you like to make any public comments? Don't say no.
Let me say that again, yes.
Bob Bright, 137 West Chicago Street, Morton. I think you probably all recall, I'm not an avid supporter of the chamber when they keep all the money. I say all, 95%. The 20,000 are given back to the youth. That's so they can get the Boy Scouts to clean up the place, keep it looking nice. The Project Pumpkin, that's a farce. They get the 2,500 to use for meals and for carnival rides, and they get 40% of the ticket on the carnival rides. So they're making money off of giving away money. Does that make sense?
No.
If I get a $100 ticket, save all carnival rides, $40 comes back to the chamber. Now, when you look at, they're saying they got $362,000 in expenses. When they get 40% of the ticket rides on the carnival, and a rule of thumb, 1/3 of the cost for their meals and stuff, that leaves 2/3. But if you take a bottle of water, it costs 10, 12 cents, and they're selling for a buck, buck and a half. A pork chop that cost $1 for the sandwich, they're getting 4 and 5. Each of the sponsors are taking care of the expenses. I realize they got to pay for this stuff and show it, but I think they got their numbers reversed. The profit is more like the 362 or above, unless most of that is chamber staff that they're saying they're all involved in the chamber festival. How can they get that high of a number? You got 144 craftsmen, $250 a pop, 64 merchants, probably rule of thumb, $500 a pop. Bicycle ride, $1,600 at $20 a pop. They don't need money. Why would you want to give them more money? You give them the streets. You inconvenience the residents. You support them with the auxiliary, the police, the fire. How much are they entitled to? Tremont makes as much as they say they make. I realize that's volunteer, but the Pumpkin Festival is so much larger than the Tremont Festival. So I say they got some creative accounting going on. Uh, Well, I mentioned the things they charge. Everything they really, well, these new events, 2 of the 3, they're going to be charging a fee. That would more than offset what they're requesting. They even charge to participate in the parade. Where is the heavy cost that drives the $362,000? Unless it's payroll and benefits that go to everybody in the chamber. There's something wrong with the picture. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Any other public comments? There being none, I have an appointment I'd like to make. Jonathan Miranda, who used to run the Holly Inn Express in town here, has been relocated, and he was on our tourism grant committee. And he's leaving town, and I have been very fortunate to discover that our own Phil Cole would be willing to serve on the grant committee. I've asked Phil to serve, and he has agreed to do so. And to that end, I'd like a motion to.
So moved.
Okay.
We're gonna flip a coin.
Tom Dodd was 2, and Randy was 1. I think Phil, I don't have to, normally I'd have a little litany about who this guy is, but he's one of the great participants in our community, a terrific person, and I'm really excited that he's going to be able to sit on this group. Call the question, please.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Temporary village clerk.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor. But as administrator.
Now, as administrator,
I was gonna say, as
village
administrator.
administrator.
First, I'd like to present for approval ordinance number 16-22, which is an ordinance regarding the prevailing wage rate. This is the ordinance we're required to pass every year by the state, setting our prevailing wage rate.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion on this? Call it, please.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley,
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
And secondly, I'd like to present for approval ordinance number 16-23, which is an ordinance making amendments regarding the position of deputy village clerk to Title I, Chapter 7 of the Morton Municipal Code. This is an ordinance that we're asking for in order to actually create the position of deputy village clerk. The position would be appointed by the current village clerk as he sees fit. And the need, if something were to arise where he is not able to work, this person would be able to do all the duties of his office, such as signing documents and that type of thing.
Motion?
So moved.
Blunier, second by Jeff. Any discussion?
I see that the ordinance provides for up to 2. Do you anticipate that we would do 2 at this point, or just 1?
I don't believe so, but
Okay,
that
so-
allows for.
But it would allow up to if
Correct.
somebody were gonna be out of town and whatever.
Correct,
So the duties can be performed.
correct.
Thank you.
Call the question, please.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dobb.
Yes.
Anything else?
That's it.
Chief of Police,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Corporate Counsel.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Our Director of Fire and Emergency Services is at another meeting tonight, so I will call on the Director of Public Works.
Several items tonight, Your Honor. First is item A, resolution number 04-16. This is a resolution authorizing exchange agreement.
Motion, please. Tom,
Second.
second by Sam. Go ahead.
Yes, so this is why we had the public hearing. This is the agreement for the exchange of real estate where the Village of Morton will receive .25 acres from Sam Parrott, and Sam Parrott will receive .14 acres from the Village of Morton. As stated in the agreement, the exchange is dependent upon both parties entering into an agreement with Jefferson Place LLC, which is item B that I'll get to next. And also item C is contingent to, which is the award of the parking lot work.
Any questions on item A? Call a vote, please.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley,
I think on the surface, the exchange agreement appears to be a pretty simple, straightforward property swap, but I really don't believe it is, and therefore my vote is no.
Lunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Next item.
Next item is item B. This is resolution number 05-16, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Samuel L. Parrott and Jefferson Place Morton LLC.
Motion, please.
I'll second it.
Second by Sam. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
This is an agreement where access will be provided through the Village of Morton parking lot for a dumpster located on the Jefferson property, which will be constructed by Sam Parrott and shared by both the Jefferson and Sam Parrott. It will also provide a loading-unloading space for use by all businesses to keep general deliveries from blocking access in both the parking lot and the surrounding streets. Sam Parrott will also make his existing parking lot at the corner of Plum and Adams conform to the required setbacks.
Questions? Call it, please.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley,
Yes.
Lunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Next.
Next item is item C, acceptance of bid for downtown parking lot in the amount of $364,908.95, and award of contract for same to Opperly Construction.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Sam,
Second.
Tom seconded.
got that. Questions on this? Call a question.
Belsley,
Yes.
Lunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Next is item D, resolution number 06-16, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Morton Mobile Home Park LLC.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second by Ginger.
Yeah, I'd like to add some more information on this. I've sent all of you an email explaining this. This is an agreement that I've been working on since November of 15 with Edgewood Terrace Mobile Home Park. This is the mobile home park north of town that's in the Village of Morton and just north of Trails at Timber Oaks subdivision. I will add that back in 2010, when Trails at Timber Oaks was developed, it was agreed where the developers would get access for sanitary sewer through their property in exchange for water. So at that time, water was connected to the mobile home park, at which time they had a well before and were having some issues with the EPA. In November of 15, I received a request and got involved with Mike Connolly. He's the manager for Edgewood Terrace, who requested a reimbursement for sewer and water costs due to a significant water leak in the meter pit on the outlet side of the meter, which is located in both easements and in the subdivision. The leak was discovered by village staff, in particular Paul Allman, in the meter pit, which was a 2-inch cracked ball valve. I think I sent you guys a kind of a picture of where that was at. Unfortunately, the leak that occurred, it occurred in an area that was not developed. That section of the subdivision has utilities, but it's not developed. And it sits about 80 foot above Edgewood Terrace Mobile Home Park. So unfortunately, they didn't experience a significant pressure drop either, which would typically, Morton's flat, and that's where we know where the leak is, or standing water, you'd find that. So I emailed all of you a spreadsheet, which how I arrived at a cost of $54,000 and $54,015.43. That's a large number. I think this was meeting in the middle with them. this leak was potentially well over $100,000. The cost of the reimbursement is based on the average usage. I sent you this spreadsheet, and I have more copies if needed. The average usage for 1 year from 12 of 14 through November of 15. They requested actually more reimbursement as they dealt with leaks beginning in 2010. However, couldn't really confirm that was ours. So after the leak was repaired in 2015, I think that was the confirmation that this was the significant leak. The average usage immediately dropped to normal usage, and it has continued to date. So they were up, over 100,000 cubic feet, and the average usage is about 37,000. That went on for quite some time. The intent of this agreement, though, is also obviously to make whole with them for lost water and sewer. It's a unique situation where we own the pit, but it's a little bit gray when the leak occurs on the outlet side of the meter in the pit. But also the intent is that this doesn't happen again where we have to cut them a check for $50,000, $100,000 due to this situation. So I've worked with Mike, and that's what's in this agreement. Some of the small parts of it are they'd have to provide 48 hours notice to the village, and then if they suspected a leak, and then we would go access the pit. We really don't want them in the pit. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in there, and we prefer to have access to that only. And they would be responsible for everything on the outlet side of the meter, meaning this goes down the 80-foot, side slope. We don't want to be responsible for that either. And then, like I said, we'd continue to own the pit, and they would be responsible for any repairs, and they would also be responsible for any cost of leaks in that 48-hour window or after, as long as they provide the notice to us. If they don't provide notice, they're fully responsible going forward. So that's the agreement that you have in front of you that I'd like to ask for approval.
Any questions on that? Call it, please.
Blunier,
Yes.
Gobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Next item is item E. This is acceptance of bid for Veterans Road roadway widening and intersection improvements in the amount of $797,967.11 and award of contract for same to R.A. Cullinan and Son.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Jeff, any questions on this?
Craig, might you mention the reimbursement?
Yes. I will add just a brief description of the project. This is about a quarter-mile stretch of Veterans Road that will be widened to allow for a turn lane that would access the Morton Apostolic Christian Church, the new church, and would also, for southbound traffic, allow a left turn into Thornridge Drive. So that quarter mile is centered on Thornridge Drive. Been discussed for some time. We had an agreement, I believe it was last year, where they would participate in half up to $390,000. That was $350,000 for construction, and they would pay for the $40,000 in design. I will say my anticipated budget was blown a little bit on this one, but that was at the time where we really didn't have a lot of information. This was a tough one because the drainage is very difficult there. It's very flat, not a lot of room. And we had only one bidder also on this project. This would leave, I sent you an email, but I didn't include the design in that, but they would pay for $390,000, and we would pay for the $447,967.11 for our portion. And then I will add, we budgeted $740 for this. The additional funds would need to be appropriated at the appropriations meeting, which would be the next meeting. And then lastly, I was waiting for approval on this. We had sent some information out, but tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here, there will be an informational meeting on this project. One of the major items is the detouring of traffic, northbound traffic. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of room to construct this. So this will be an inconvenience to northbound traffic using Veterans. Southbound traffic will be open throughout. When you go northbound, you will be detoured around Lakeland and Stoneway Drive. So this will be an inconvenience and more traffic. for Stoneway Drive. And I'd be glad to answer any questions, not only at the informational meeting, but at my office at any time during the project.
Any more questions on this project? Call it, please.
Dobb?
Yes.
Hare?
Yes.
Herman? Yes. Kaufman?
Yes.
Belsley?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Next item is item F, acceptance of utility easement for Paul, who I believe is in the audience back there, and Gina Zeithammer at 400 South Oklahoma Avenue.
Motion.
So moved.
Second by Jennifer. Moved by Jeff.
This utility easement, I'll add, is a piece of property attached to Paul and Gina's property at 400 South Oklahoma, and it's adjacent to and kind of in between the new development going on there for Orchard Hills 9. This piece is not in the village. As a result, I've been working with Paul to request a utility easement around the property. Paul's been very easy to work with in return. The developer will be providing water and sewer tap to this potential future lot. Paul's lot is in the village, but the little piece that's attached to his lot is not in the village. Go ahead, Paul.
I believe I had that annexed when I purchased the lot.
You did, okay. And I think that's something we can look at.
Fine.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's a big deal right now. It was just a matter of getting the utility easement along the front and then the side easements for this property. But we'll check on that. I thought we had checked on it and that piece wasn't annexed with yours.
Any more questions for Craig or Paul?
But I don't think that'll affect the vote here tonight.
I don't know, it looks close. Call the question.
Hare?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Belsley?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Dobb?
Yes.
Next item is item G, waiver of formal bidding and acceptance of proposal in the amount of $97,408.50 for the West Jefferson Street Sanitary Sewer Project, and award of contract for same to R.A. Cullinan and Son, and this is to be constructed as part of the Detroit Avenue widening project.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Sam.
This
You wanna
is
give us a little more
Yeah,
detail?
this is a unique one. Obviously, we'd like to bid this out. I've checked the prices. I think they're consistent. But this is a 700-foot section of sanitary sewer along West Jefferson from Detroit Avenue to the west. It'll tie into the existing down there close to Schwartz and Traub implement. The existing sanitary is currently under the pavement, and it's in potential conflict with the proposed storm sewer. I'll be honest, I had hoped to salvage this piece and line it in the future, but after getting a little more involved and doing some digging, it's an old clay line that is so close to the storm that we're worried about the integrity of it, and I think now's the time with it being under the pavement to not jeopardize that in the future. So we'd like to reconstruct it, scoot it behind the pavement, and this will be the new lateral for Casey's. And there's also a development in the works just west of Casey's that their lateral will connect to this piece too. Like I said, I've reviewed the costs and they're acceptable. I think the biggest thing is this is a part of the Detroit Avenue widening project. This is an IDOT project. There's liquidated damages. And this is something that, this would cause a substantial delay in the project, which could kind of make a mess out of it. So IDOT's willing to work with me. I'd like to use village funds to do this work as a separate contract. We actually thought we were going to be able to do this if IDOT shut down Thursday. This would allow us to keep working and do that, but thankfully they passed that budget and we can continue. So I'd be happy to answer any question. The work would start immediately.
Any questions? Call it, please.
Herman?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Belsley?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Dobb?
Yes.
Hare?
Yes.
The last item is item H, Memorial Plaza donor paver update. As you've seen out there, we're making some good progress, and we're getting pretty close, I'd say several weeks out, but to starting some flat work out there. And the donor pavers around the Veterans Memorial, I think, I don't know if Ron and Leanne both want to speak to it, but they're still available for purchase. I don't think that's been discussed recently. But those are things that we need to finalize by August 1st so that we can get them engraved and get them back to be used around the memorial area. So I don't know if Leanne, if you wanted to speak to that on what they should do to get those pavers.
Either visit the chamber website or the Community Foundation website. We have our Morton Matters newsletter just went out, information's in there. There's just a simple application you fill out and you can turn it into us or directly to the Community Foundation. Stop by our office and pick up an application, but we are trying to finalize those by August 1st.
And I'll add the 4x8 pavers are $100. The 8x8 inch are $225, and the 12-inch by 12-inch are $500.
I think something that people need to be aware of, this is a Veterans Memorial and we want to honor the fallen, but also any veteran who you'd like to recognize can be recognized with a paver. There's a special spot for the fallen, but also there's a nice place for anyone who's served and is a veteran and you'd like to recognize them.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Is that all? Our planning and zoning officer couldn't be with us tonight, and Trustee Belsley has agreed to step up and handle his business for us.
There's two items there under planning and zoning. Both of these matters were considered at the Plan Commission meeting on June 27th, and both of them were recommended for approval. And we'll take them separately here, but item A there is, I'll make a motion to approve petition number 16-07 ZA, approval of zoning amendment at 412 South Main Street from R1 and B2 to R1.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff.
And essentially what that is, to provide a little more explanation of it, it was really an error that was uncovered on our zoning map that had just been there for years, and it wasn't realized until the sale of that property took place recently. And from the title search, realized that the property was just split down the middle with it being zoned in different districts. So it's just more of a clerical matter to clean it up and have it all be zoned R1 in accordance with the surrounding property as well.
Call it.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
And item B is, I'll make a motion to approve petition number 16-08 SP, approval of a special use permit to allow a drive-up window at 730 West Jackson Street, zoned B2. This is a site that actually previously had a drive-up window in place, and it's property just east of Lynn's Buffet. And there is a window there, as you'll recall. It was used for a drive-up. At that time, the business no longer, or went out of business. And with that, our ordinances call for, once the use ceases to exist, then the special use goes away with that. And the business downtown, Leaves and Beans, is planning to move to this location. And so they want to reactivate the use of that window. And it's worked well in the past. I don't know if there's any problems with traffic or anything like that, but there's capabilities there to stack 3 vehicles. The entrance would be off of Jackson Street and exiting onto Jefferson Street. And it came with a unanimous approval, or a vote of approval from the Plan Commission.
Can I have a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion? Call it, please.
Belsley,
Yes.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Now I'll ask Trustee Belsley to speak for Trustee Belsley.
Just had one item, Your Honor, on the agenda tonight for me, and this is, in the past, the board will recall that we typically seek approval from the board to hold a public hearing with the Plan Commission on a zoning ordinance change or revision on that. And in discussing that practice with Attorney McGrath, realized that's really something that's not necessary. It's not called for in our ordinances, and we're not sure of the origin of it, if it just became a practice over time and customary to do so. but we do have a plan, or a public hearing that is scheduled for the July Plan Commission meeting that will be in regard to a revision to our sign ordinance. So this made it on the agenda with the intention to grant or ask the board for approval, but in conversation with Attorney McGrath, found out that's not necessary. Pat, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, any public hearings we have come either at the recommendation of the trustee overseeing zoning, or your zoning officer, or myself, or the combination of us. So it seemed to create a redundancy at your meetings to approve the hearing, have the hearing, then bring it back for your vote. And since it's not required, I thought it was a procedural improvement. So I concur with what Trustee Belsley said, and this matter will come back before you when it's time to make a substantive decision. That's it.
Trustee Blunier.
Just one thing. Clearly, the Pumpkin Festival is the flagship event in Morton, and I really appreciate what Leanne brought tonight. Not only her explanation of the history and the dollar figures, which was, for someone for 2 months in the job, that was amazing. I think that your requests are spot on, so I'd like to make a motion to support her requests for the 3 Pumpkin Festival events.
May I have a second? Is that Jeff?
I've got a comment.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I heard the presentation myself, but the thing is, we just appointed a new member to the Tourism Grant Committee. How do we make the people on the Tourism Grant Committee feel when we don't follow the recommendations? We did that last meeting on a grant, on one of the tourism grants. They recommended an amount and we changed it. Here, they said the Funkin' Festival was self-sustaining, so they didn't authorize any grant money. So they come up with some new ideas to get grant money, so why do we have a tourism grant committee? We agreed not to spend any money on it when the grants went out, so why are we changing it now?
I'm not sure if you can, someone can answer this, but were these 3 new projects included in the original application? I think that might change things as far as we usually try to fund new additions to events that will draw people in. And based on the comments made, I could see that this would be a draw to different people, new people to attend. I understand your concern, because I think I expressed a similar concern too with when you override a decision, but I'm not sure that this information was available when the original application was submitted. Is that?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
But this board has the oversight on all those decisions, whether it's business district funds, tourism. That's why we're elected, so we sit in the hot seats.
Right,
We
but
have
we
oversight.
appoint a committee to do a job, but we keep telling them that their job don't matter, it's what we think and not what they think. How's that gonna make, anybody want to go serve on those kind of committees?
Susan, was this information available on the original grant
This
application?
information was not included in the original grant application. This is new information to us tonight.
So it was not known at the time of the grant round that these 3 new events were a possibility?
But the fact remains, it still shows a profit, right? Even if we don't donate any money, they're gonna show a profit.
That may be, but our philosophy in regard to tourism was events that would bring new people in. And I think we've gone out on a limb on other newly proposed events that we had hopes that they would bring people in, and often they did. I'm excited that, I understand the issue with the profit and everything, but this is new information, it's new events. I think it will enhance the Pumpkin Festival, and this is of any years, this would be a year to make it special.
I was interested, I kind of had the same question, and I asked council if it was okay for the Board of Trustees to decide that they would like to make some grants out of them, those funds.
My opinion is that I concur with what Trustee Kaufman stated. Those bodies are technically advisory bodies to you, and so legally you have the authority to make your own spending decision. You can choose to accept or reject all or any part of their advice. So at the end of the day, it's your decision. They're to give you advice, but they don't have independent decision-making authority.
As Trustee Blunier said, it is the flagship of Morton. And it just does so much for Morton. And I like the idea that everybody's thinking outside the box, from fireworks to zip lines. And I think we need to think outside the box, to be different, to be unique. We have the funds, that's what tourism money is for. And I think we get this started and encourage that outside thinking, and we'll get things accomplished in this town.
I would agree. Leanne, you brought these ideas from your previous experience in other cities, correct? As an idea of what would help drive this event?
Well, they were well on the way before I arrived, but the biking, the cyclist community has really grown nationally, but especially in our region and for Morton. Bike trails are used far greater than I've seen in other communities. And to support those cyclists, families, or anybody that just wants to get out and ride again, I think it's a great new event in the future for the festival. Obviously celebrating 50 years, fireworks is one of those natural ones that are a great way to celebrate the 50 years. And then the zip line is something that they had conversations on. And seeing that growing industry, came across a way to bring that to the festival and have a new feature for the kids especially.
And talking about the zip line, you know, the $5 does go to the Project Pumpkin. And I disagree that being a farce. And I think the citizens need to realize when they come to the microphone, they need to be a little bit respectful. The Chamber is Morton citizens. They do happen to be business people, but there's also individuals that have membership in that. And I think as we all come up with ideas and try to unite something, I can tell you for a fact there's a definite need for Project Pumpkin. There's a lot of kids here in Morton that wouldn't get to go if they didn't have that. I have about 8 grandkids in grade school. I know them. And I love the idea that that $5 is going to that. I hope that donations double that next year. But I would hate to think that we'd have kids suffer and not be able to go. I don't care who makes the 40% on it. Somebody's got to make something, and somebody's got to organize this entire Pumpkin Festival. That is quite a feat for a group of people to take on, from the insurance to organization. And I believe over the years, I'm 58, and Morton people want the festival. It's a signature event. Let's support it. That's what tourism money is for. And why not change it up? What is wrong with change?
I agree. I think Project Pumpkin, it just exemplifies the spirit of Morton, and no child should be denied the ability to enjoy our flagship event. I think the fact that the proceeds from that go to support that just speaks volumes about our community, and I think it's a wonderful program.
And over the last 3 years, they've donated between $55,000 and $57,500 every year. That's quite an average.
It's been said, what you focus on grows. If you focus on the growth of this event, it will grow. If you let it stagnate, it'll become a thing of the past. And so little jumps, little leaps, little bounds are what will help this grow, and I think Leanne will add a lot to that. So I still support it.
I don't get to vote or have to vote, would maybe be a better way to state this, but frankly, you're all right. All of you are right. I mean, this is an important event. It's the 50th. We want to be part of it. But what Tom says is absolutely true. I go to all of these commission meetings, and we can't just ignore them all the time, or they're just going to walk away. I would point out, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but on this particular commission, Julie's in the process now of rewriting how they evaluate grants. and making sure, frankly, we haven't always followed the criteria like we should. Julie's making sure that we're going to be following the criteria in the future. And we've just appointed Phil Cool to the commission, and we anticipate that it's going to act a little better in the future. But I would, let's don't ignore what Tom's saying. That's not the only commission where I hear people saying, why should I even be on this thing? On the other hand, if I were voting, I'd probably vote for this because I think the Golden Pumpkin Anniversary is a great event, and we ought to be part of it. So, see, I don't have to vote, but I'd go either way.
Well, the votes haven't been counted yet, you might yet.
All right. Call the question.
Blunier,
Yes.
Dobb,
No.
Hare,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Trustee Dobb.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hare.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Herman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Kaufman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second by Sam. All in favor?
Aye.